Hello, hello, welcome back to Seed and Sparrow Homestead. If this is your first time watching, my name is Kelsey, welcome. We are on week 8 of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge, but first, some updates. If you watched my last video, we were without power, we had a snowstorm. Happy to report we have power again. It actually came on that same evening that I cooked on the coal stove. It came on at like, I think just a little after 5, maybe like quarter after 5. So I actually could have made dinner on our stove as normal, but it was still really good to figure out how to use the coal stove, at least a little bit, and know that in a pinch I can use it. And it just, you know, it's gonna be very aware of some things I need to work on and be more prepared in a few areas. So maybe we'll do a video on some preparedness here in the future. But besides that, the second thing I wanted to talk about is my lack of Tuesday videos. I had a few people comment like, where are my videos? So I've decided to take just a short break on the Tuesday videos. I was feeling really overwhelmed, got a lot of health things going on. I've basically been on and off sick since Christmas. I don't have anything active going on right now, but I still have some lingering symptoms of the really bad sinus infection I had. I'm trying to get into an ear, nose, and throat doctor to figure out what exactly is going on, but they can't see me until April. I've called every office. I can't even get into my primary care doctor for another 4 weeks. So I've done urgent care, but they can only do so much. I have what feels like a large lump in here in like my maxillary sinus, which, you know, Dr. Google and some of the research I have done, it seems to be pointing towards a retained mucus cyst. That's what I'm guessing. And it makes sense. Like, it's just like a hard lump right in here, and it's putting a lot of pressure on like that major nerve group that runs through the side of your face. So I'm having some like shockwave type nerve issues into like my gums and teeth. I've had my teeth checked, they're fine. So that was causing just a little bit of anxiety, and anxiety is something I have struggled with since having children, hormonal issues, which I'm working on. But all of that to say, I needed a bit of a break. I needed some downtime for myself. I felt like I was just constantly filming, I wasn't resting, and my mind just needed a break from the overwhelm. So just for a little while, we're gonna just be working with Friday videos, but as soon as like the garden season picks up, I'm gonna jump back into those Tuesday videos, and hopefully by then, praying all of my issues going on right now are solved and taken care of. So with that little bit of housekeeping, we are gonna get started on week 8. So it is Saturday right now of week 7, but we're gonna have some company this evening for dinner, actually our neighbors, and I want to make a soup of some sort. I think I'm gonna do like a copycat Olive Garden chicken gnocchi soup, and we're gonna make some breadsticks with that. I'm gonna make this soup with my gluten-free gnocchi, so I can at least have some of that. I'm still primarily carnivore, but every once in a while I'll just have like kind of indulge in something here and there in moderation. But I'm gonna do that gluten-free, and then I'm gonna make a dessert. I'm thinking just like a cobbler. I pulled out some of my cherry pie filling that I had canned over, I think that was 2 summers ago. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's dated 2022. So that's what we're working on today. It's kind of just a slow day here, and I'm doing some cooking and cleaning, getting my house in order for the week, and then we'll pick up tomorrow with some more prep work for the week. I wanted to get started on the soup first, but my chicken isn't done thawing, so we're gonna get started on some breadsticks. I'm making everything a bit early so it's all ready, so I'll probably warm these up a bit later. So we're just gonna activate our yeast in some warm water. Let that get bubbly, and then we'll come back. We're gonna add some salt and sugar and butter and flour. Okay, I got my chicken cooked, so now I'm gonna add some celery that I had in the freezer. We're also gonna add the shredded carrots to this and allow those to cook a little bit. Now, I will make sure to leave a recipe with accurate measurements for you, but I'm kind of winging this one. I'm just about doubling it, but not quite, so. It's not exactly a copycat because I don't have everything here. So, we're gonna make it work. Here are the breadsticks. They've been rising for about 45 minutes. So I'm gonna stick them in a 400-degree oven for about 12-ish minutes. Back to the soup, I'm gonna add some minced garlic and get that fragrant in here. Start adding the rest of our ingredients. I'm gonna do a teaspoon onion powder. Maybe a little bit more. Half a teaspoon of thyme. And the secret ingredient is a dash of nutmeg. I'm gonna do about 1/8 teaspoon. All right, let's get some chicken stock in here. All right, 6 cups chicken broth. I'm gonna add that in. And this is for about a double batch, so don't pay too close attention to any measurements I say. I'll link a recipe down in the description. Got that in there. I'm gonna chop up my chicken and put that in here. Salt and pepper, and then I need to grab the gnocchi, and the gnocchi is gonna cook in here. Chicken cubed up, going back in the pot. And grab my gnocchi, and then this is just about at a boil. As soon as it gets there, I'm gonna drop the gnocchi in. They're gonna boil for about 4 minutes, and then I'm gonna turn the heat all the way down to low and allow this to simmer. Once it's cooled down, we'll add in a few more ingredients. Okay, and goes the gnocchi. Okay, 4 minutes. Now I don't have any fresh spinach, however I do have some freeze-dried. So I'm just gonna crumple that up in here. At this point, I'd normally add some heavy cream, but I am officially all out with heavy cream. So we're just gonna do probably 2 to 3 cups of milk. I might add in some Parmesan cheese. Okay, we're gonna do a teaspoon of salt, a dash of pepper, and then I am gonna add probably like a 1/2 cup of grated parm. Put that in here too. Alright, these guys are done. I'm gonna pop them back in the oven a little bit later and we'll brush them with some garlic butter. Alright, here is our somewhat of a copycat of the Olive Garden chicken gnocchi soup. Not as creamy as I usually make it because I don't have that heavy cream here. But that's okay, it still tastes really good. And I'm gonna allow it to simmer and it should thicken up a little bit. And the gnocchi will absorb a bit more of the broth in here. So we got that done and our breadsticks. In a little bit, I'm gonna start working on a dessert. I'm gonna get my cobbler into the oven. So first thing is pie plate, 1/2 cup of butter. I'm gonna stick it in the oven, allow it to melt, and we're gonna mix up our other ingredients. So I have a cup of whole wheat flour in here. That's all I have left besides my wheat berries, and this needs to get used. We're gonna make a Costco run in about 2 weeks, and I'm gonna pick up some of their organic all-purpose white flour. I like to use that in combination with other things, but then I'm probably not gonna be buying like any more whole wheat. I'm just going to be using my wheat berries. We need a cup of sugar, and I am going to use coconut sugar. A cup of that, which looks like it's got some big pieces in there. If you've never had coconut sugar, it's just a bit more caramelized in flavor. I'd say kind of similar to a brown sugar, but it does have a flavor all its own. We like it. We're gonna do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And what did I do with my salt? I'm gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Mix that up, and then 1/2 cup of milk goes in there. We'll pour this into our pie plate right on top of the melted butter, and then I'm gonna spoon on my cherry pie filling. Okay, 350 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes. Brush on some garlic butter to our breadsticks. Got the table set, everything's ready to go. So after this, my work is done for today. I do need to prep a snack for children's church tomorrow, but it's just cutting up some fruit, so that won't be too much.
Everything turned out wonderful. We had a lovely time with our friends, had some great fellowship, so we ended up digging right in to this cobbler, and I didn't get a picture, I didn't get a video of it. This was just the aftermath, and it was delicious. Highly recommend serving it with a mountain of vanilla ice cream. Let's move on to Sunday. We got home from church, and I wanted to focus on breakfast for the week, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really dragging that day. I hadn't really slept well the previous few nights. Grant has for some reason been waking up multiple times, and he just needs me to come over to him and you know, settle him down and lay him back down, and he's fine. But we've been going through this, and I haven't been sleeping the greatest, and I just needed really quick and really easy recipes for breakfast this week. Thankfully, we had a lot of that chicken gnocchi soup left over, so that was Matt's lunch for the week. And for breakfast, I chose 2 really simple things. For myself, I got some sweet potatoes roasting in the oven. I am gonna make a simple sweet potato and egg dish. Like, literally, those are the only 2 ingredients. Very easy, super nutritious, and it's just quick for me in the morning. And for Matt, I'm gonna make some breakfast burritos. I have a ton of eggs. The ladies are doing their thing. So I'm going to scramble those up. Probably did about a dozen to last Matt through the week. And I found a random pack of tortillas in the freezer. So I was thankful I didn't have to make any tortillas. I honestly didn't have the energy to do that. So it was a blessing. I found some tortillas in the freezer, and I honestly don't know how long they were in there for. So it's good they are getting used. So in addition to the eggs, we're going to do lots of cheese. I like to buy my cheese in bulk, and sometimes I'll buy pre-shredded, although I like to buy it in blocks and then shred it myself and then just freeze it. It freezes really well. So I pulled some of that out of the freezer, threw the eggs on top, and I used up a jar of salsa. We have lots of jars of salsa. This is a great way to use that. This is just some tomato and jalapeno salsa from the garden, and we had some bacon that I fried up from our pig this past fall, and that is the simplicity of Matt's breakfast for the week. It fills bellies. It's still yummy, just not super extravagant, but I mean, who has extravagant breakfasts every day or every week even? We don't, honestly. We eat pretty simple dishes around here, and we like it that way. Now, I mix it up. I try new things. I get creative. I want to be creative for you guys, give you new ideas, and inspire. But honestly, we eat a lot of simple foods. Sweet potatoes and eggs over easy are one of my favorite breakfast. It goes down so well in the morning, and it gives me a good start to my day. So I like to just kind of make a well in the baked sweet potato, put my egg in there, and then I stick it underneath the broiler just until the whites are set. I like the yolks to still be runny, or dippy eggs as we like to call them here in PA. Moving on to Monday night's dinner. As always, we do the same thing for breakfast. We do lots of leftovers for lunch or snack plates. So I'm just going to share with you some of our dinners that I made. This one was a bit of an experiment. I threw some things together. I had like a recipe in mind, and I just kind of went with that and what I had on hand. So we're making like a spinach artichoke inspired dip dish, but we're adding chicken, making it more of an entree. So I've got about 3 chicken breasts cooked already and shredded up. I'm adding some cottage cheese and some sour cream, a whole bunch of mozzarella and Parmesan cheese. And then on top of that, we're going to add some seasoning. I have some garlic powder, some rosemary, and some oregano. And then I'm also going to do some lemon juice. I wish I had some lemons on hand, but I did not, so I just used some bottled lemon juice. Not the greatest flavor in my opinion, but it did the job. This meal was honestly inspired by me shopping my fridge. I try to do that first thing in the week just to make sure things are getting used, and I had an open container of sour cream, an open container of cottage cheese, an open bag of mozzarella cheese, and I had some chicken that I had previously thawed last week that I didn't end up using, so that went into this dish as well. So I added in a can of artichoke hearts, some salt and pepper, and I didn't have any fresh spinach on hand, so I am using some freeze-dried spinach that I used earlier on for the soup. That bag is open, so I wanted to get that bag used up. I'm just going to transfer our mixture into a baking pan, and we're going to top this with some more mozzarella cheese and some Parmesan cheese, because why not? In our home, cheese makes everything better. My husband will always nod in approval as soon as he bites into something and he detects like a ton of cheese. That's his love language, cheese. I'm going to serve this dish with a side of quinoa. I love quinoa. It is one of my favorite grains. My husband, I'm still working on him with it. I add it in here and there. I don't think he loves the texture of it, but I've got a good man and he just eats whatever I put in front of him with a smile on his face. Occasionally he will tell me that he wouldn't have to have that certain meal again, but he will finish all that I have made, and he is always thankful. It's honestly such a blessing, and he loves to try new things. He's always game for that. So that makes my job really easy in the kitchen. And honestly, my kids do too, for the most part. They're children. They can be picky. They go through periods where they love certain things, and then a day goes by and all of a sudden they don't like it anymore. But they're usually pretty good to try new things. I always ask that they give it a good, honest try before they say no. And honestly, about 8 out of 10 times, they realize they really like it, and they'll finish what's on their plate. And the times that they don't, well, that's why I have chicken nuggets and smiley fries in the freezer. On to Tuesday's dinner. I'm making another casserole type dish. Super easy, especially if you have some canned goods on hand. I am going to make a cheese sauce, so we're making a bit of a roux. Got equal parts butter and flour in here. I'm going to allow that to cook and thicken up just like you see here. And then we're going to add some milk to this mixture. Add it slowly so we have a nice smooth result. And then we're going to add in some garlic powder, some onion powder, salt and pepper. And then I have some cheddar cheese. I'm going to add in 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. Mix that well together and allow it to cook just for a little while until it gets nice and thick. You all know I love my Amish stores around here. I go there for a lot of bulk items, but also they do like buyouts, so you can find some things there really cheap compared to other stores. And on occasion, they will have like big buyouts of meats, and sometimes you can find organic meat at a really decent price. So I had found a few, they're like 1/8 of a ham, and it was organic. So I picked a few of those up a while back, and I had this last one in the freezer. So I decided to use it tonight, and I'm just chopping it up, laying it in a 9x13 pan, and then I'm going to utilize some of my canned goods. I've got 2 quart jars of my home canned potatoes grown from the garden. Such good stuff. They will forever be on my pantry shelf. Make things really easy and convenient. And then I have 2 jars of my green beans. And there's some yellow wax beans in there too, but you get the idea. So 2 cans each of those, and I just spread those out into my pan, and then the cheese sauce gets poured on top. I'm going to top this off with some more cheddar cheese and some breadcrumbs. Get a nice crusty layer on the top. I love those layers. And this will bake at 375 for about 40 to 45 minutes. We really just have to make sure everything's all heated through and that cheesy sauce gets nice and bubbly. Now, it would have been better if I would have let this cool. The sauce was pretty runny at this point, but as it cooled down, the sauce did set up, and this was delicious. This meal, as well as that spinach, artichoke, and chicken dish, are 2 that I think are going to go on the rotation. Super easy, save a lot of time, nice and nutritious, and really yummy. This is the last day I'm going to share with you all. It's another really simple meal, but sometimes, I don't know, those simple meals can honestly be the best, and this one was no exception. It was so good. So we made some Hasselback potatoes, and you could put a guide on either side of the potato. You don't want to cut all the way through, but you do want to make some pretty thin slices into the potato. And then we're going to brush it with some melted butter and salt and pepper, and then these go into the oven, 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. So for myself this evening, I am going to make some salmon, and for that I'm going to make, it's like a bit of a rub / sauce. So that includes some Dijon mustard, some paprika, and chili powder. And then I'm going to add some coconut sugar. If you don't have coconut sugar or don't like it, you can just use some brown sugar. I'm trying to not use a ton of refined sugar. I don't think it's necessarily the enemy, but I only use it in moderation and prefer to use other sweeteners instead. So I used coconut sugar, and then I also did some maple syrup, and then all you do is gotta mix that up, spread it over your salmon, and then we're gonna take some aluminum foil and kind of make a tent over this, and then these will go into a 375 degree oven. I did about 12 to 15 minutes. It depends on how big your salmon flanks are. These were pretty small, so it only took about 12 minutes. If you're not a fan of salmon, I think that sauce would go really well with either pork chops or maybe some chicken breast. So the potatoes were finished baking that 30 minutes, and I sliced some Colby Jack cheese pretty thin to go in between each of the slices. And then I finished it off with a little bit more of that melted butter, salt, and pepper. These go back into the oven for another 15 to 20 minutes till the cheese is melted and the edges are crispy and you want the potatoes to be nice and tender. So my husband is not a seafood fan. He doesn't like any of it. So for him, he is getting a ribeye steak. We don't eat steak a whole lot just because it's honestly really expensive. So it comes out every once in a while. We try to save it for special occasions and just for that every once in a while treat. So I have rubbed this steak with some Dijon mustard and also sprinkled it with salt and pepper. And it is going to sear in my cast iron pan with some butter. I removed the steak after it was done cooking for the most part in here. I allowed it to get a little bit past rare in here. Matt likes his steaks medium rare. So I am going to make a sauce and then it'll continue to cook in the sauce for a little bit. So the sauce is some bourbon, some Worcestershire, and some coconut aminos, or you could use soy sauce. And then we're going to add, sorry, my camera's doing a thing here, some evaporated milk. I was all out of heavy cream, and that's what I usually would put in a sauce like this. So we used some evaporated milk, and that worked just fine. It's a great tool to have on your pantry shelf if ever need be. And then a little bit of seasoning, some rosemary and some basil. And then I added a sweetener. I decided to use some coconut sugar. You could use honey or maple syrup or just brown sugar, whatever your heart desires. And that wraps up with this sauce. I'm gonna let it simmer. It'll thicken up a bit, get super yummy, and then we're gonna throw our steak back in here. Allow that to get to medium rare. And we're gonna keep kind of like drenching the steak, drizzling that sauce over it. So yummy. So this is pretty much a meat and potatoes type of meal. Matt's favorite, honestly, and honestly it's one of mine too. It's simple yet so good. I am going to add some caramelized pear sauce that I had made this summer with you all. I have a video on that a while back. I'll see if I can find that. It's actually from Crystal's book, Freeze Fresh, that I've shared with you all before. It's a great book, and this recipe is top notch. It is such a lovely flavor. So that went with this meal as well. Topped the potato with some sour cream and chives, and it was good eating. Well, friend, that wraps up this week's recipes, and I'm kind of thinking that perhaps this is the last of the Three Rivers Challenge videos I'm going to do, unless you all object and really want, me to wrap up the last few days with you all next week. But quite honestly, I'm just kind of over it. I'm ready to move on to some new things and share some new things with you all. I'm going to do a bit of a wrap-up video with what I have learned, my takeaways from the challenge, some things I'm going to change up, some areas I'm going to focus on, as well as some areas that were just brought to my attention in terms of preparedness. And I've got a few videos up my sleeve I'm going to share with you all here in the future. But I'm also going to go... we're going to go to the Amish store here soon, as well as Costco. So let me know if you'd like me to bring you along for that. Or if there's anything, you were hoping I would cover, let me know down in the comments, and I'll be happy to see if I can do that for you. So thanks so much for coming along with me. I hope you enjoyed spending some time in the kitchen and got a little bit of inspiration. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That helps me out so much, and I appreciate you all. You all have a blessed week, and I will see you next time. Take care.